How to teach your horse this cool trick called the Spanish walk.
Wenn ihr wirklich wissen wollt, wie man den Pferden den spanischen Schritt beibringt, dann schaut einfach mal ins Video. Der Loïc hat nämlich auch einen von ganz, ganz vielen Mustangs, die in Amerika noch in der Auffangstation stehen, in Gefangenschaft, hier nach Belgien bekommen und bildet den derzeit aus. Und der hat seinem Mustang beigebracht, wie man den spanischen Schritt macht, und das hat er für euch gefilmt. Schaut mal rein.
The first things you need to do and teach your horse are getting used to the pressure points. So that means going backwards and forwards when you're asking. To go backwards, I put my whip in front of him and make the sound ch-ch. If your horse is not responding on this, you can start waving with your whip a bit and increasing your pressure step by step until your horse reacts. To go forwards, I do the same thing, but I put the whip towards his hindquarters and I make the sound. The next step you're going to do is asking your horse to go sideways. For that you can use a pole on the ground to make it easier for you and your horse. For this little exercise, you're going to put the whip on the place where you put your leg normally when you're riding, and you're increasing pressure until your horse responds. If your horse is going forward, you try to stop him, to put the whip in front, make the ch-ch sound, and then try and ask again. You can see here that Morango sometimes lifts his leg up towards me. In this case, I try to ignore it and keep focusing on the question that I'm asking until he gives the right response. It is always very, very important that you reward your horse for every little step that he is trying and doing in the right direction. Morango is now at the point that he can do this exercise a little bit longer, but please keep in mind, if you're doing this with your horse for the first time, try to reward for every small step. Also, always make sure that you're consistent with your voice aids. To go sideways, I make the sound. Your horse will soon understand that this sound is connected to that behavior. The last exercise that we need to do before we can ask the Spanish walk is turning the hindquarters away and then also asking them back to you. This is very important if you want to try the Spanish walk, because in the beginning a lot of horses will need to find their balance and you will have to re-put them back into the right position. This exercise is a bit the same like you did with the pole on the ground, so normally a lot of horses will understand this quite fast. If your horse tries to run into you or go forwards, just put him backwards and then ask again. Because Morango is a Mustang, he does not know a lot of food rewards yet, but if you can, I would really recommend using food rewards. I think horses learn much quicker if you use them, and it gives them a positive feeling. You can use small pieces of carrot or even the food of your horse. Another very important thing is that you always need to be aware of your emotions and never use them against your horse. Sometimes when we're training with our horse, we can get a bit frustrated, but it's very important that you do not show this towards your horse. For example, here you will see that Morango is not understanding the pressure of the whip. I just keep asking it, but I'm not getting mad or punishing him for not understanding. I just keep calm and let him search for the right answer. After every small step he tries, I give him a break. Now it's time to really start the Spanish walk. The first step you will need to do is try to ask your horse lift up its leg. With your whip, you're going to tickle his leg a little bit until he gives you a reaction. Also in this case, the smallest reaction you're going to reward. If your horse understands this, you're going to increase the time that your horse needs to lift up its leg. Then you're going to ask the 3-step rule. This means that you're going to ask the horse to lift up its leg, walk 2 steps, and with the 3rd step your horse is going to take, you're asking again to lift up its leg. Here it is very important that you also put your horse backwards like we trained earlier. By doing this, you remind your horse that he cannot forget using his hind legs. For the 3-step rule, the horse lifts up its leg, going forward 1, 2, and with the third leg you're asking again to lift up its leg. Did you see Morango a bit confused? But I just keep asking the leg that I want. Your horse will need some time to get used to this exercise, not only his balance, but he also needs to put the steps all together in his brain. Morango is a horse that sometimes forgets his hind legs. I just gently remind him by putting the whip towards his hindquarters. If your horse is not using his back legs correctly, he will not engage his back and your Spanish walk will never be expressive. The last step you're going to do is ask the horse to lift up its leg, put it down and then immediately put the other leg in the air. Here you see that Morango again is not engaging his hind legs. In this position he will never be able to do a Spanish walk correctly. To help him, I ask him to go backwards again, so his hind legs are nice and under, and I try to do the exercise again. Always make sure that you're in a safe position, because of course your horse is lifting up its leg in the air and he can reach you. Besides that, it's also very important that your horse is in a straight line so he can find his balance better. Here Morango was again not putting his legs under his belly. With the whip I asked with a bit of pressure to put his legs back under. He did not understand at first, but I just kept a little bit of pressure until he understood my question. His last few steps were really nice, so I ended this session. Remember to never over ask your horse and keep your training light and playful. Try to not do this more than 10-15 minutes a day. In the end, your Spanish walk should become something like this. Thank you for watching and I wish you a lot of fun with your horse.